Surface is high-performance, salon-exclusive hair care that respects personal health and the earth. My name is Becky Bosch, and today I'm going to be working to teach you about Surface hair cutting system. And I'm going to be doing specifically from our core cutting system, the Freedom Haircut. Before we get started today with the actual haircut, I'm going to first show you with my mannequin head Frank here about the different road mapping zones that Surface has within all of its core cutting system. We have 4 zones within the cutting system, and one of them being the green zone, the black zone, the red zone, and the blue zone. With my TK2 comb, I'm going to show you how we establish all of those areas. The first thing you want to do is take your TK2 comb and hold it to the top of the head. Where that highest point of the head is where you establish the difference between your black and your green zones. Your black zone is important because that is the interior of your haircut where you set the guides that dictate where you're going with the rest of that haircut. The green zone is important because that is the zone that you want to have in place to do all of the interior work that you will have within that haircut. When you get done establishing those 2 areas of the hair, you want to then find your side ridge and your rear ridge. So what I do is I take my TK2 comb and turn it this way. I take a second comb and I put it to the side ridge of the hair. Where those 2 combs meet is where I establish how the green zone and the red zone are separated. My green zone is interior, my red zone is my perimeter. So that's where I define that line. I also need to define the line for my rear ridge. So I take the comb, I put it again at the highest point of the head, I take the rear ridge, put my comb together with that, and where that line meets is the bottom of my black zone and then the start of my blue zone, which is also a part of my perimeter.
Go ahead.
Before we get started on the actual haircut, I would like to go into what Surface has to offer for tools. The number one thing that is most important for me as a hairdresser is to be able to have really great tools to work with. So I choose to use the Surface TK2 comb. It comes with an 8.26 inch comb. The beautiful thing about that is many of the head shapes that we work on have either a lot of width to the rear ridge, or they have a lot of bulk in the hair. Having the ability to have a longer comb really helps you to section very cleanly so that when you're making and creating your target parting, this comb can really be beneficial in that area. Another great feature to this comb is that it has a little divot right in the center where it's equally balanced, and that is a great area to place your thumb and get a really nice grip on this comb, so when you're doing any kind of angling forward or backward or trying to keep that comb straight on, you do have that grip to keep it in place for you. The third and other great element to this comb is this target part sectioning piece right at the top of your comb. It is so nice to have on your comb when you're going through and getting that hair nice and clean and combed forward, to be able to go through and use your target part sectioner to get in there, get yourself a nice clean road map, so when we get back into the zones, we have a very clear picture of what they look like. Today I'm going to be using one of our other really phenomenal tools, and that's our Surface TK2, our Surface razor. And one of the great things about this razor is if you look at it like this, you can see that it has a slight bend on the end, on the spine of this razor. That bend is there, and it's done at a 7-degree angle. The reason for that 7-degree angle is so that when you take your finger and put your ring finger over the top of this razor and you rest your pointer finger on the top of the spine, you get a perfect 7-degree angle that is an extension of your very own hand. So your work that you're doing is very controlled and looks really nice. One of the other parts to this razor is that it comes with a silica guard. The silica guard is a bendable, flexible guard that flows through the hair really smoothly. One of the pieces of this guard is that when you put the guard into your razor, you have the ability to get 6 to 10 haircuts out of that razor. When you're done with those haircuts, you flip that blade over, reinsert it into your razor, and you have another 6 to 10 haircuts. In doing any of my surface haircuts, there's a couple products that are always essential to get me started. One of the first products that I would choose is the Trinity Tonic. It's 75% protein, and so I love to use this on my finer guests. The reason being is it creates a really nice strength to the hair, but still keeping it flexible and giving it a really nice high shine with the Vitacomplex in it. When I have a guest that has more of a medium type hair type, I like to go into the protein cream. The protein cream is made up with 50% protein and 50% moisture. Typically your guests that have that medium to coarse texture are really lacking that moisture, so this is just a really nice product to do the work that you're trying to do. I'm going to use the protein cream, or I used the protein cream to prep her hair today, and so I'm going to be showing you the start of this perimeter. I took the hair and I moved all of the hair to the back. I combed everything straight back and made 5 subsections. The reason I did that is because I'm trying to establish a perimeter. For this haircut today, I'm going to be keeping in mind one of the rules of surface cutting is that we always cut with our end result in mind. My end result today, I would like my perimeter to be all the same length. So I directionally combed all of the hair to the back of the head and brought everything into the blue zone so that and then subsectioned 5 little pieces. I'm going to start in my middle subsection and I'm going to comb it straight down, and I'm going to be sculpting with my razor on either side to create a really nice perimeter. I'm going to work then from my left side to my right side to ensure that I have a really nice balance throughout this hair. The reason these subsections from the front have been combed to the back is that I can always guarantee that I'm going to keep the same length throughout the entire perimeter of this haircut. So why don't I get started, and I'll just show you this middle section. I'm going to comb it straight down, and then I'm going to work left, right, right. So here's the first section. We're going to sculpt with our razor. Now that we've established our perimeter, we need to go ahead and establish our interior. Remember when I showed you Frank and we talked about the black zone being kind of the guide to how we establish our interior? I'm going to take my TK2 comb, and remember again, I'm going to put it at the highest point of the head, and that's where my black zone and my green zone are then separated. So I'll use my target part sectioning, and I'll use the end of my comb to create that line from the highest point of the head. Everything else will be combed forward to keep a nice clean line when establishing that top black zone. I'm then going to take my surface grip clip and I'm going to come down on the side ridge and come to the back or at the highest point of the head where I've established, and the side ridge and rear ridge that I've established, and I'm going to section out my entire black zone. Yeah, I know. Because I like to work with a really clean work area, I'm going to take all of my blue zone and I'm going to use another surface grip clip and just get that hair down and out of the way. It really helps me when I'm working in that black zone to keep a nice clean work area. So if you look at my chart right here that I've made, I'm going to be starting in Section 1. Section 1 is then divided by 3 sections that come straight on. The way that you decide the width of this section is by using your surface razor. You don't want anything in that section to be any wider than the razor that you're working with because you don't want to be over-directing the hair. Remember, this is establishing your interior. You then want to work your way in section 2 and then on to 3. The reason that we are doing section 2 and 3 at a diagonal is because what we're trying to establish is a similar or same length all the way being pulled up to section 1. We want to keep an even weight distribution through the interior of this haircut, and this is a great way to ensure doing that. So I'm going to get started and section off this hair using a straight-on section, no wider than my razor, and I'm going to get that up. And remember, we have A, B, and C as a subsection to this section, so I'm going to get started with that first. I will take section A, I will bring it straight up from the head, I will grab my surface razor. Remember, I'm putting my ring finger up and over, putting my pointer finger on the spine of the razor. When razor cutting, you always want to come in and use that spine of the razor to protect the hair until you know you're ready to cut. Now that I've established my guide, I'm going to flip that razor and I'm going to gently go in and cut my interior length. I will now bring subsection B straight up and then over direct it into A. And I'm going to do the same thing, coming in with the spine of my razor, flipping it up. When I see my guide, I'm going to cut that hair. I'll continue on with section 3, or C rather, and bring it up. Again, over directed to section A. Bringing the spine in, up, tip, and cut that hair. I'm now going to move to my second section, and again, section 1, or A, B, and C. So section A is going to come up, and it's going to meet up with right to that point where I've established that guide, because remember, we're trying to establish all the same length here and keep a really even distribution. So by doing that, I'm going to go in and cut that hair to the same length. I'll take B and C and then work to my other side and do the same technique. Now that I've established my interior in my black zone, I'm going to release the hair from my blue zone and comb that all the way through. Taking the top half of my black zone, I'll do a half-inch subsection that I'm going to incorporate into my green zone. Again, I'm using my target part sectioning with my TK2 comb to get a really nice clean line. Standing on my left side, being a right-handed cutter, gives me a really nice control to do my progressive layers that I'll be showing you in my green zone. Before I get started on progressive layers and show you what that means, I'm going to first talk to you a little bit about the shear that I'm going to be using. Surface has a really great 5.75-inch shear. What's really nice about this shear is that it has a swivel to it, which gives you the ability to do many different haircuts without having to put all that strain on your wrist. You actually can directionally cut any way that you would need to create all the different looks within the surface cutting system. Another wonderful feature about the surface swivel shear is that it has an oval-shaped thumb insert. And if you look at your own thumb, you'll notice that it is shaped more like an oval than a circle. What that gives you is a better control and a little bit more balance when holding your shear. The shear is also set a little bit off at an angle to give the exact extension of your hand, just like with the surface razor. You want that shear and any tool that you're using to always just be an extension of your hand. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how we do our progressive layering technique. I'm going to show you how to create progressive layers. Taking that section from the black zone, incorporating it into your green zone, you're going to hold up a subsection and you're going to walk your shears from underneath so that you have better control of the shear and you can be watching what you're doing all the way through, slightly progressing outwards to get a really nice clean cut. Taking a little bit of that first section you did, you want to come in on the middle of the hair and repeat the same technique. So there you find your guide. Come under the hand, and as that drops out, you progress, slightly nibbling away at the hair for a progressive layer. Your third and final section, incorporate a little bit in here. Go in, hold that hair up nice and strong. Establish your guide, and just go in underneath on your progressive layers. Okay, now that I've established my green zone, I've taken a 1/2 inch subsection out of that green zone, created my left side part, and I'm going to be working from left to right all the way around the head, taking subsections and connecting my interior with my perimeter. The reason that I took this area out and clipped it away is because that's going to end up being my fringe area. So I don't want that to be affected by the rest of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to start on my left side, use my razor to get my dots connected. So I'll work quickly, moving around the head to get point A and point B. Palms out, coming down, and descending my layers. Now that I've done my descending layers, I need to establish my fringe. So what I'm going to do is go in with my target part sectioning, and I'm going to take 1/2 of my green zone and I'm going to work down to my side ridge. I'm standing on the left side because I'm going to be pulling all of the hair that I want from my right side over to my left, where I'll do a descending layer to establish my fringe section. What that will give me is a short to long, nice side swept bang to go really nicely with this freedom haircut. So I'm going to put my surface razor in, and I'm just going to descend down and establish a beautiful fringe area. Now that I've got that established, I'm going to comb that back over, and I'm going to switch sides and finish up with the little subsection that's left on my left-hand side. I'll comb all of that over. And I will use up my previous guide here to decide where I'm going to take that hair as well. Now that I've got that fringe in place, there's one last little detail that I'd like to take care of, and so I'm going to just quickly clip my green zone out of the way. And I'm I'm going to take a small section in the front and just create a little bit of a C shaping. I'm going to start at the cheekbone so I can really open up the eye. It also helps me to remove some bulk so that the hair gets a lot of nice movement. So I'm bringing that down and I'm descending into a C-shaped pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same thing on my other side. So coming in at the cheekbone, I'm just creating my C-shaped pattern, and now I will drop out my fringe again. One of the other things I'd like to talk to you about today is the RZ blenders. This is one of my great tools by Surface that I love to use in so many of the haircuts that I do with Surface. It's got 41 teeth, and it's a combination of my 7-inch shears and my titanium razor. It is also got the swivel. It's also got the great thumb control, and so I can really get a lot of effective looks by using the combination of this shear. One of the favorite ways that I love to use this shear is to just really get a nice moving haircut and get a really nice soft blend. So I'm going to go in with my RZ blender and I'm going to just remove some of that hair and get a really soft look, so that you can see where that hair is moving. And when I comb it together, it doesn't lay as heavy. The next thing I'm going to do is complete my Freedom haircut with a really nice blow dry using some of my favorite Surface products. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and then we'll come back and we'll show you just how great this haircut looks, and we'll do a little bit of a detailing finishing type work. Okay, so here we have our Freedom haircut. The two products that I use to do this blowout for her haircut is the Surface Jump Mousse. What I love about the Surface Jump Mousse is that it has a really nice concentrator on the end, so you can really get the product right exactly where you want it. So in my areas of parting, I came with that side left part, and I really wanted to get a lot of nice volume through the top. So I concentrated on that area, and with the sugars, the natural sugars and the cornstarch, we really got a great voluminous blowout. My ends I wanted to be a little bit more soft and subtle and a little bit smoother, so with the Curls smoothing cream, I ran that through all of her ends, and that has the cocoa butter to help really heal and seal the ends in and make a nice high shine to this blowout. The tools I used today were my Surface paddle brush. I started my blow dry using this, and I got it to about 85% dry before I then brought in my 3-inch TK2 round brush. I used the head like a roller with my paddle brush as I was blow drying to really get all that volume in there, and then to use the bristles to really distribute that product nice and evenly. When I was 85% dry, I went in with the 3-inch TK2 round brush, and I just finished the work. Now this roadmap being in place, you have such a great foundational haircut that this is the point when you just want to go in and do that thing that you do and make this haircut yours. What I'm going to do is use a weave technique, and I'm going to be using my Surface razor to achieve the look. I like to debulk the area and really keep a nice soft framing work around the hairline. So I'm going to hold the hair up. I'm going to take the spine of my razor, and I'm going to be slightly bent in, and I'm going to weave that hair, tip my razor up, and then I'm just going to gently come down and create a really nice section. It just softens that line a little bit. It gives a beautiful, beautiful face framing. So what do you think? This is our Surface Freedom haircut. I invite you to look at our YouTube channel and check out some of our other haircuts, because there's a lot of great information there for you to have. My name is Becky Bosch. Surface is high performance, salon exclusive hair care that respects personal health and the earth. Thank you for joining me today.